will see Colin Bell, who's a very young player that gets through a tremendous amount of work, who is more suited from coming from deep positions into forward attacking players than actually being a forward attacking player.
To Bell. Well cut in that. And this must be it. There it is. Bell. What can he do? There's Lee. He's not offside. And there it is. Manchester City are the champions of the First Division. They defeated Newcastle by 4-3.
And it's all over. Listen to them now as they see the cup. They will to get it over. Bell flicking it on. Pardo! Pardo! That's what they're waiting for in the
Cup again. It's becoming something of a habit. The European Cup Winners' Cup, which will now join the League Cup on the shelf at Main Road.
Salon Oaks. 20 minutes gone and it's Colin. What a goal! What a goal! What a fantastic shot by Colin Bell.
And that's dangerous. Bell in.
It's Doyle.
Bell.
Bell moving up very strongly on the right, and Bell's got a chance now. 2-0.
Bell.
Again, series of 1-2s. Bell. 3-0.
Maybe again. And Bell has got it.
Bell moving into the middle, so is Lee. Beautifully set up goal.
Bell. Away by Bell, and now it's Stewart. The others are arriving quickly. In fact, it's 4 against 3. Here's Marsh. That's for Bell. Thank you very much, 4-1.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of GyalDem City. Before we start, that video was courtesy of Man City, so hopefully they're okay with me using it, but it is what it is. If you just clicked on through Periscope, please go over to YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are 300 away from 2,000 subs, so we need people to subscribe. So yeah, and then obviously you can, any questions you have for us about Man City, let us know in the comments and we will answer them. So Rose, we have to start obviously with Man City at the moment. In our most recent game, we beat Man United at Old Trafford, knocking them out of the cup once again. What were your thoughts on the game?
I thought you were in that match. I mean, it was nothing like the previous match at Old Trafford against United, that ball fest. I thought this was a City side that, you know, had urgency. There was intensity in that match, and you could just tell that we really wanted to win that match, and we just gave our all. And I'm saying that because I felt like United weren't even that bad, but we were just better than them aspect of the match, and we fully deserved that win. And don't get me wrong, United did have a few chances. I mean, Rashford had a good chance, and then I think Bruno Fernandes had like 2 really good chances. But again, like, our defence was so solid. Like, we handled United so well, and it's so crazy because like the two most unlikely players that you'd think would score in that match, you know, Stones and Fernandinho scored, and I thought they were exceptional in that match, and they fully deserved their goals. And yeah, can I just say that Fernandinho, like at 35 years old, was just able to, you know, keep Bruno Fernandes very quiet throughout that match, and because he was the one that was looking like the most likely to get United back into the match. But yeah, like, just handled him so well. And I also want to say a special shout out to Gundogan, who I think was exceptional in that match as well. You know, he's had his critics at the start of the season, but recent he's just been amazing. And yeah, like I can't even fault his performances in the last few matches. I mean, his passing has been great. He's been able to keep the ball very well, and in that match against United, he was just constantly trying to create chances for us, and I just thought he was just really good as well. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I think I agree. That game, I think we weren't at our best. Like a lot of people were saying that we didn't even have to get out of the sort of third gear to beat United. That's what United fans were saying. Like City definitely weren't at their best. I think this season we've been getting better and better. I think like you can see what Pep's trying to do, and I think it's just started to kind of work now. So it's good. We're a lot better defensively. I think maybe last season, even if we play the same way, Man United probably beat us because of the defence. Whereas this season, Diaz, what a signing, has just completely transformed the back four. And you could see even like when defenders or players made a mistake in that game, he just cancelled everything out. So in a normal game, Stones makes a mistake and then it's a goal. Whereas he's just kind of cancelled everything out. So, you know, he has been great for us. Gundogan, I think so far, player of the season. He has been fantastic. I can't really say anything negative about him. He just looks like a different player this season. And I know we've always kind of bigged up Gundogan. And like, I've always kind of said that he's a key player in our squad and like people kind of use him as a scapegoat. But I think he's been doing what we kind of have been saying he's been doing, but for everyone to see this season. And, you know, I think the Champions League, the past couple of seasons, he has been great in the Champions League and the reason why we've won some of the games that we've won. And I think he just kind of went under the radar. But this season, he's actually shown to be, you know, be the player that we know that he is. Also, like you said, Fernandinho. I always say, like, when we were predicting the lineup, I'm like, if Fernandinho plays, we'll win, you know, because it's just like he is that guy. Obviously, he's my favourite player, so I'm always going to big him up. But yeah, he was exceptional. And I feel like he's the only player that can truly break up counter-attacks. Like, other players are capable. Rodri is capable. But it's just a little bit more. You feel like when Fernandinho's on, you're a lot safer in the midfield. And I love him. So yeah, I think it was. I wasn't really surprised by Stones scoring simply because at Old Trafford, defenders seem to score. Like I think Gundogan's got a few there. I think John Stones has scored there before. And I think not last season, maybe the season before. I'm sure Stones has got a goal there as well before. So I'm not really too surprised by that. But I am surprised by Fernandinho because Fernandinho doesn't score that much. But when he does, it's always in a big game. Like he scored against Chelsea, I think, when we beat them 6-0. I think he scored against them again when we beat them like 3-1 or something. So he tends to get them big goals when he does score. So yeah, I'm happy with it. Obviously, it's another final. With it being Spurs, I'm not that confident just because I know our history against Spurs is not great, especially in cup finals. And yeah, they're a bit of a bogey side for us. They always have been. Well, I was actually looking at the history of us versus Spurs, and we've actually won 76 games each. Yeah, and then 36 draws. So it's kind of evenly matched over our history. But I know we go through periods where they can't beat us for like 2 years and then we can't beat them for like 2 years. So kind of goes like that. So I think we're due a win against Spurs, and with it being a Carabao Cup final where our players have been there, done that, I'm hoping that we come out on top. Obviously, as well, with it being Jose, Pep's only ever lost the final to Jose, so he's not going to want to repeat that record. So I think, what are you thinking? Like, how are you feeling ahead of the final?
I'm confident because I think we've won it, 3 times in the last 4 years, I believe.
Yeah.
That aspect. But, you know, with Mourinho, you just know what he's going to set up to do. He's just going to try and obviously defend and hit us on the counter-attack. But City have learned their lessons from our previous matches this season, and that we're. But I'm hoping and I'm feeling. I don't know. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like City's going to win it. So yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. People are saying in the comments. I'll go back up to the top in a bit, but Kamasolo, big up to him, says we will beat Spurs. Pep doesn't lose finals. Check Pep's record in finals, 13-15 wins with Bayern and City. Yeah, I know his record is exceptional. I'm sure he's won every final apart from one when he was at when he was at Barcelona and he lost to Real Madrid in a final, and that was Jose. That's the only thing that's making me think it's a little bit. And just with City and Spurs, there's just something there that, you know, but I think we should win with a better team. And if we play the football that we've been playing in these previous week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, we will beat them. But it just depends how we set up. Ryan says, if City lose to Spurs in a final, I can't wait to see Jan's reaction. Yeah, you ain't seeing me. You ain't seeing me. I am gone. Like, I am actually gone. So yeah, he's never lost to Klopp in a final. He's played Klopp in the Community Shield and won. And he's played Liverpool one time before that in the... Oh, no, it wasn't him. 2014 wasn't even him. So yeah, he's only played Klopp once in a final kind of environment. And, you know... Oh, he lost to Klopp in Germany. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. But yeah, moving on. We'll just go to some of the actual comments that I started. So Conrad said, big up Jan and Rose. I'm still depressed. To be honest, Conrad, you deserve it because you've been coming for De Bruyne. So you deserve it. He says, we are Moments FC. That's why we're not winning the league. Slabhead and Lindelof. So what? I don't think, I've said all along, I don't think Man United will win the league. I just don't know if you have a chance. You're in there, you're up there. But I just think over a season, I'm not sure Man United can do it. They've had some wins that have come very late, like against Wolves. And I know that can win you titles. But I think that's more so when you're playing well. And I don't think Man United have been playing that well when they've got some of these wins. So I don't know how that will fare over a whole season. I think Liverpool will come back strong. I think Liverpool at the moment are a little bit poor, but they will come back strong. They're not going to stay like that the whole season. So Liverpool are obviously in with a shout. Man City, if we continue playing the way we've been playing, you know, we have a very good chance of winning it. You can't rule out anyone at the moment because it's very close. But I just think Man United won't get over the line, but we never know. We'll have to see. I hope not anyway. Conrad said, when John Stones scored, I was like, I was dreaming. Do you know what it is about John Stones? Is a lot of Man United fans really don't rate him. Like before the game when we were doing all our previews and I was saying Diaz and Stones have to start. They've been brilliant. And the United fans were kind of saying, oh, we don't rate him. And I was like, yeah, but he's been... Like, because I thought John Stones was finished at Man City at the start of the season. I was like, he's going to go. You know, I think he's done here. And he's just proven me wrong, which I'm very happy about because, you know, I do like him. It's just I thought he was finished. And he's come in and he's just been... Him and Diaz together have been brilliant. Yeah, I think Diaz has kind of brought the best out of John Stones. I think if he was playing alongside Otamendi, I don't think we'd be seeing this sort of John Stones. I think it would be a little bit more like what we were seeing before. But he is a good defender, and he was great at Everton. We bought him. He was great, I think, at the beginning, and then he just has had injuries, and because he's been in and out of the squad, and he just wasn't performing at his best. But now Diaz has come in, and it's a solid partnership. We're really seeing the best of John Stones. What's your opinions on John Stones, Rose?
Yeah, no, I feel like he's very good, but he does play better with like a solid defender. So like we've seen him with Company. I thought he played really well with Company, but then obviously with Otamendi, a bit inconsistent.
Yeah.
But yeah, like because Ruben Diaz has just been so good as well. I think that's helped Stones come back to being his best. So I think it does depend a lot on who he's playing with. But I'm not going to take anything away from him. He has been really good this season. Yeah.
Kamasola says, morning, Yannicka. He also says, hello, Rose, with a flower. Morning. Ryan says, big up Jan and Rose, and rest in peace, Colin Bell. Yeah. I just wanted to put a tribute at the beginning of the show. I have been on Man City Fan TV. We did like a little tribute to him there. But I wasn't, I'm not old enough to have watched Colin Bell play. But obviously, ever since I've become a City fan, Colin Bell is the biggest legend we have. And it's just, I see him a lot at football because he's always there. And I've always said he looks really well. Like every time I see him, I think he looks really well. Like, Summerby, Franny Lee looks quite youngish as well. Well, not young, but do you know what I mean? Like he always tended to look all right. And then Tony Buck probably looks the oldest. But Francis Lee just doesn't, Colin Bell just always looked really good. So I was actually shocked when I heard that he died. Because I don't think 74 is that old. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock. I wasn't expecting that. Like I think if they said, maybe one of the others, I might have been a bit more like, I don't know. It's just he just didn't ever look. I don't know what he died of. I'm assuming it's an illness, but he just never looked old like to me. So it's a bit of a shock. Obviously, my dad was old enough to have watched him, and everyone, Man United fans, City fans, everyone kind of has said he was such a great player, even if they don't support City.
Yeah.
So obviously it's one of them things. It's just sad. It's sad for the club. Obviously ex-players die a lot, but I just feel like this one has really hit the club a bit differently just because of how big a legend he is. Like, I sit in the Colin Bell stand. That's where I sit.
Yeah.
I've been there for however many years now, and it's just a shame. But yeah, it's shocking. Is there anything you want to say, Rose, about Colin Bell?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, rest in peace, Colin Bell, and I'm just sending all my love and best wishes to Colin's family and friends. Period. And like when I think of City legends, like he's just one of the first names that come to mind. I mean, I wasn't born when Colin was still playing, but I've watched a number of videos of Colin playing, and I must say that he just was one of them players that never lacked intensity in a match. I mean, he was passionate yet so clever with the ball, and he just fought until the end. And like he was just an absolute workhorse, and it's not surprised that he's always referred to as the complete midfielder, and been compared to Kevin De Bruyne by Mike Summerby, due to in terms of like the way that he played and his personality as well. And I've also heard that off the pitch, he was a really humble, lovely man who just didn't know how good he was. But because his achievements speak for itself. Like he's won City the league title, the FA Cup. I mean, a League Cup, and even a European Cup, and he's scored 153 goals for City in like his 13-year spell. And he even has a stand, you know, named after him at the Etihad that you sit in. And it's just, he's just given his all, and he's been rightly rewarded for his contribution to City. And he's just a true legend. And I must say that even though Colin has passed away, his legacy will never die. He will always remain in our hearts, and he will just never ever be forgotten.
Yeah, I heard that he's quite a shy man, like outside of football. Like, obviously, I've seen him. I've never spoken to him. I've just kind of seen him walk past and stuff like that. But I'm not one to go up to ex-players or even our current players and chat to them anyway. So it's one of them things. But yeah, I think back in the day as well, it was more like you footballers would live up the road to you. You know, so it wouldn't be like he lives in some mansion in Cheshire. Like if you grew up in Manchester and Colin Bell played for City, you probably would see him walking down the road. I know my dad bumped into George Best once and he was waving at my dad. I think he thought my dad, because at the time my dad used to look like Lionel Richie. And I think he thought it was him because he's waving at my dad. My dad was looking behind him and he was waving at him. So yeah, just madness like that. You just wouldn't really get that nowadays. As easily, do you know what I mean? So yeah, just rest in peace to him. Obviously, you know, I think it's one of them things where he's already such a big part of Man City that it's just never going to change, and you know, it's such a shame. But yeah, he was part of the most successful Man City team that we've had until recent years. So, you know, I'm hoping that the players we've got now, obviously the legends that we've had, like your Companies, your David Silvas, you know, De Bruyne's going that way. It'd be nice for him to lift the European trophy. I really hope he does it. And then he might be regarded in the future as like a Colin Bell of our club. But yeah, it's just such a shame. We'll move on. Conrad says, when John Stones, I think he means scores, you may as well just cancel football. It's Old Trafford, isn't it? You always concede to City defenders. Conrad also says what a player Diaz is. I think we all agree. Diaz is the signing of the season. Like, I know other teams have signed good players. Obviously, the signing of last transfer window would have been Bruno, because he's just been amazing for United in January. But yeah, it's just, he's crazy. Ryan says Pep is finally getting his defensive signing spot on. Cancelo and Diaz are something else.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, I love Cancelo. Cancelo is brilliant as well. He's been the other player. I think Gundogan, him, and Diaz have been our three players of the season so far. I think if they continue to play the way we do, that'll be a really difficult vote for player of the season. Normally it's like quite easy. It's like, oh, it's De Bruyne or it's David Silva but I think this year, if they continue, it's going to be very difficult to choose. But yeah, I think in terms of our defenders, like, people always talk about how much Pep spent, but if you look at the defenders that he had when he came, Company aside, who, let's be honest, has always been quite injury prone since that sort of time in his career. And I think Pep's come in and he's had to completely change it. And I think when you're changing maybe one or two, it's not too bad. Like with even Liverpool, like Klopp came in, wasn't the best defence, but you had Trent and Robertson who were good fullbacks, do you know what I mean? And then he's brought in Van Dijk and it's completely changed the back four, you know, and the players that were kind of next to Van Dijk, not as good, but they stepped up their game, kind of like John Stones has, playing alongside Van Dijk. So it's kind of like he saw the signing that he needed, he brought him in and it kind of fixed the defence. And I think with City, we just didn't have that Diaz come in at that time to kind of just come in and slot in. We kind of got it wrong a little bit. I think some of the players, John Stones obviously came in around the time that Pep came in. And, you know, he was fine at the beginning, but then he got injured and then it just kind of didn't really work. And up until now, obviously. And I think it's just one of them things. For me, sometimes it takes a while to get it right. But when you get it right, that's your back four and you kind of run with it. And it's nice that Diaz is so young. Because if he really wanted to, he could spend another 10 years at Man City, which is obviously brilliant for us. I'm not sure how old is John Stones, about 25. I don't think he's that old, is he?
Yes.
Yeah. So not too old for a defender anyway. So yeah, I think we can hopefully have a good defence for the years to come. What are your thoughts on Cancelo? Because for me, I love him.
Yeah, as well. I think he is one of our players of the season. I mean, when we swapped in, I think we swapped him for Danilo. Like it was so worth it. Like, come on, he's such an upgrade on Danilo, and I just feel like not just like defensively, I feel like even going forward, he offers us so much. Like I think maybe you saw the one the cross that he did to De Bruyne in the Chelsea game, I believe. Obviously De Bruyne didn't score it, but it was like just chances like that. Like he just creates so much for us going forward, and yeah, like he's just slotted in, and I love the fact that he can play on either the right as a right back or so I just love how like versatile he is as well. But yeah, I think he's a great sign.
Yeah, I think when Danilo left, because I really like Danilo, I was like, I love Danilo. He was a little bit underrated at City. I feel like he didn't play enough. And when he did play, it was kind of like he was thrown in for a game and then he was taken back out again. And I think we didn't get the best out of him. I think he is a good player, but obviously Cancelo is just something else. So it's interesting because the signings that I don't really know about, the signings that I'm like, I don't really know who this player is, have worked out to be really, really good for us. Like even Fernandinho, like I knew who Fernandinho was because obviously I've seen Shakhtar play, but I didn't really know how good he was. And then when we kind of brought him in, I really liked him because I liked what he was doing with the City fans, because before he even signed for us, he was interacting with the City fans, liking their tweets, stuff like that he didn't need to do. And I thought, I like that. I like a player that's kind of ready to interact with the fans and stuff like that. I like that about him. And then obviously when he came in, he's just been brilliant for us. So, I've liked him more and more. Yeah. And he's been my favourite player pretty much since he came. He has. So, yeah, I think you get players like that. With Cancelo, I don't really watch Juventus, so I didn't really know what to expect. And he's come in and he's been brilliant. Same with Diaz. I don't watch Portuguese football, so I didn't know what to kind of expect from Diaz. And obviously he's been unreal. So, it's nice that I think Pep is so clever and, he gets a lot of people saying he's a fraud and this and that, and he spends a lot of money. But if you look at him as a coach and what he does and, how he thinks about the game and how he like tactically outclasses other people and even the signings that he brings in, he can like see things that, others can't. And, I just think I'm so happy for him that he's getting it right, in terms of the signings, because he deserves it. I think the coach that he is, when City aren't playing well, you can see that he's getting frustrated, people laugh at him, but it's kind of like the players that he's got out on the pitch should be doing better. Like these players are capable of scoring a lot of goals. And at the start of the season, we just weren't putting anything away. And that's not Pep's fault. If Sterling's missing open goals, how is that Pep? Like, it's just the players kind of need to kind of play how he wants them to play. And I think you could see this season, like the first season when he was here, you could see what he was trying to do and it just wasn't working. And it was the same at the start of the season. You could see what Pep was doing. You could see what he wanted from the squad and they just weren't giving it him. And now they are, and it's clicked. Yeah. City look very, very good. So obviously we play Birmingham tomorrow.
Yeah.
1:30, I believe. So what are your thoughts on that game? Who do you think Pep will play? I know we never know with Pep. But yeah, who do you think he'll play and what are your thoughts on the game?
I think he's going to make a lot of changes. I mean, I feel like players like Diaz need a bit of a rest. I think Diaz has played 5 games this season. So I'm expecting to see a lot of youngsters. Maybe Tommy Doyle. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe Delap. Maybe if Pep doesn't start Aguero, but then I don't know. Maybe Jesus might start. I'm not sure about who's going to start up front.
Yeah.
But is Garcia back? I don't know if he's back, but I feel like maybe
he's isolating Garcia.
Oh, okay.
I think they said he's isolating.
Okay. But yeah, I expect to see some youngsters. Foden probably will start. Who else? I'm trying to think who else is going to start. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure because I know some of them have had corona. I know Tommy Doyle had it, but I think he might be back now. So I don't know, like you say, I don't know if he'll kind of play them to kind of get them back to match fitness because I know corona can kind of knock out you a little bit. So especially people that have kind of maybe even like Edison says he's feeling a bit anxious apparently to come back. So maybe in a game like Birmingham where he might not be challenged too much, kind of put him in that game. Obviously, if he isn't 100% himself, I think Stefan needs to play in the Premier League because it's more important at the moment for us to win them games. And obviously against Brighton, they're an attacking team. So obviously we're going to probably be under a little bit of pressure at the back. So I think we need a goalkeeper that's fully fit and ready to play. So I think maybe he could potentially play Edison tomorrow and then play Stefan in the league. But knowing Pep, he probably will play Stefan. Yeah. I'm not sure. I agree with you. I think some youngsters will be in there. But I think he'll still go quite strong because Pep takes every competition seriously. Hopefully, he rests Diaz and Stone. I feel like he should play Laporte if he's fit and Aki if he's fit. I think he should play them too. I can see Aki being in the squad. I really hope Laporte plays. I think Laporte needs to kind of come back into the squad so he can kind of prove himself a little bit. Because we know what he's capable of. Pep knows what he's capable of. But John Stones has been undroppable. So it's kind of like, it's unfortunate for him that Stones has been so good because it's kind of like Pep can't really drop Stones now. So he would have to do something exceptional to kind of get in ahead of Stones. But they look like they've got a bromance going on, Diaz and Stones.
Yeah, they do.
It's one of them things, like the chemistry is there. So, you know, I'm not sure who will play. What do you think the score will be?
I think we'll win. I think it will be maybe a 3-0, 3-1 City. But then again, our defence has been solid. So I'm probably going to go with a 3-0 City win.
Yeah, I think maybe because I think the defence will change. I think because it'll be a different back four. I think we might concede, but yeah, I think we'll win. So yeah, like a 3-1, I would hope. I can't see it being a really close game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't watch Birmingham, but I'm assuming they're going to have like a lot of young players that'll be, you know, trying to. When you play Man City, you're going to try and impress.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're doing that. So I think we might almost end up with like what Liverpool had last night, where Aston Villa was solid, even though they were younger players.
Yeah.
Because they're there to impress. They're there to show what they're capable of. And that's their one moment to do that. And to be fair to them, they played really well. Like, I know in the end they got beat. And on paper, it's a heavy defeat. But I think the way they played, Conrad says it here, big up Aston Villa. They played well. You know, that the players that they were playing against as well, like that was Liverpool's strong first team. It wasn't like it was some second strand team that they played. And I think, you know, that I'm really happy for them because I think them youngsters really showed that they're capable. And, you know, that'll be brilliant for them, regardless of winning or losing. They, you know, they had to step up. And to be fair, for most of the game, they did. So, yeah, I think we'll be against some good players that are probably young and, you know, fresh. And wanting to show what they're capable of. So hopefully City can keep it together and we're clinical at the other end, and then hopefully we'll go through to the next round. The other game that I wanted to touch on was obviously Brighton, because we play Brighton on Wednesday. Obviously, depending on who plays tomorrow will depend who plays on Wednesday. So I don't really know if we can predict the lineup. But do you think Pep will go with how he's been going with the false nine, and the sort of setup that he's been going with? Obviously, Diaz and Stones are going to be at the back. Maybe Zinchenko. But yeah, who do you think he'll stick with that, or do you think he'll change it back to how we were playing?
I think he might. I think he might change it and bring back Jesus. So a little bit. Because it's like, I know Brighton score a lot of goals, but it is a home match, we're at home, so
yeah,
I think he's going to be a lot more attacking in this match against Brighton. So I expect him to start either one of Jesus or Aguero, but most likely Jesus.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he might. Yeah, I don't think he's going to leave Jesus out, because obviously he was only out with Corona. So if he's kind of back to feeling his best, I think he will play. But yeah, it depends who he might even start. Gabby tomorrow. So we'll have to see. Obviously, when we know who's playing in that game, we'll probably have more of an idea. I do really want to see Aguero this season. He's 8 goals away from being in the top 3 strikers of all time in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And I think it will be a massive shame if he does leave at the end of the season. Fernandinho out of contract, and, Man City were kind of saying, Pep always says, himself included, you need to prove yourself to stay at Man City. And he says, like, if he doesn't prove himself, he should be gone. And obviously, if the players don't prove themselves, they're going to be gone. And he's now said yesterday that he's very surprised and impressed by Fernandinho this season. So I'm hoping and praying that he's going to extend his contract, because I will be gutted if I don't see Fernandinho again play live. Obviously, the last game I watched was the final in the Carabao Cup. Like, that was such a long time ago. I will be really gutted. Same with Aguero. They've been such a big part of the success that Man City have had, and it's just be such a shame if they go out the way, at the moment it's looking like they're going to go out. So hopefully they both get a new contract. I think Aguero is Aguero. I don't think he's finished. I don't care if he's not fully fit all the time. I think even a half-fit Aguero is better than a lot of strikers. So I'm hoping to see him soon. I know someone was saying that he can't play a full 90 minutes, or if he does play a full 90 minutes, his knee swells and then he's got issues. So hopefully, I think we'll have to see. But I think hopefully we can kind of get these players, for another year. Hopefully Messi comes in to join Aguero. That'd be nice.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah, and I just think you need experience in teams as much as you need good quality players, you know what I mean? And obviously, like De Bruyne was saying the other year, like, he's one of the oldest in the squad, and he is, and I think that experience really helps when it comes to winning trophies. And if we are going to win the Champions League, I think we need like our Agueros and, Fernandinhos in order to do that. As much as the new players coming through are capable, I think we still need that bit of experience that can kind of, games like that Man United game, like Fernandinho boss that midfield. That's what we kind of need. So hopefully we'll see them sign a new contract. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go to some of the comments because I've got a few comments. Henry to live says Gundogan's so much better in an attacking midfielder role than playing as a defensive midfielder. I think he's been, because I know a lot of the criticism that we had at the start of the season was saying that when Rodri and Gundogan play together, it can be a little bit slow, which we said works better in the Champions League. because the way they play does work better. But I think this season, Gundogan has just been, I don't know if it's when David Silva's gone, he's just thought it's going to have to be me taking some of the, making some of them runs and whatever. But yeah, he's been brilliant. I can't fault him.
Same. I cannot fault him.
Conrad says, Fernandinho, fouls annoy me. I feel like throwing the remote. Called tactical fouling, and he's brilliant at it. He's the best at it, He does get booked. Everyone moans every time he plays that he should have been sent off. But you know what? Fernandinho is what we need. We used to have Young just used to take people out to cut out the defense and the counter-attacks, and it's just, that's what you need in a squad. Like, I think Fernandinho makes the difference for us. Like, even though we play good without him, we still have a quality squad. But Fernandinho is just that. I'd love to see him play against Spurs in the final. I think if he doesn't, we're less likely to win. So yeah, it's just
with the fouls. I mean, I think he got one quite early on, the United match. After he was just doing it so slyly, like he's so cheeky with it. yeah, and he doesn't care, and that's what I like, because you know what, especially in a derby, like that first derby frustrated me so much this season because I just didn't see any passion. That little kind of confrontation that he had with Bruno is what I want to see in a derby. I don't want to see them shaking Bruno's hand and giving him a hug. That's not for me. I don't care if you play alongside him in your national team. I don't care if you like him. I don't care if he's your best friend outside of football. When it's derby day, it's derby day. I'm expecting, I'm just expecting you to kind of come out there and show passion, show fight. If you're going to get into an argument, get into an argument. Like one of the most iconic pictures that City have in the previous years is that one of Balotelli winding up Ferdinand, where he winked at him. Like, that's what we want. That's what a fan wants to see, And it's just that's Fernandinho gives you that. Yeah.
It's just. Conrad actually says it here. If Fernandinho starts in the final, you're gonna win.
Yeah.
I know Son is gonna turn up because Son loves playing against City. Harry Kane obviously is all right against us as well. But yeah, I think if he doesn't start, it's going to be a lot harder to stop them two from counter-attacking us. And I think Fernandinho at least will kind of keep... If Harry Kane plays in the deeper position that he has been playing this season, I think like Bruno, Fernandinho forces them to kind of shoot from outside the box. And even though Harry Kane is capable of shooting from outside the box, he prefers... where he can run in and go one-on-one with the keeper or something. He prefers that. And I think Fernandinho prevents that from happening as easily. I'm not saying he won't get in because he's a quality player, but I think he kind of cuts it down a little bit, forces him to shoot from outside the box, forces him to make maybe an extra pass where Diaz or whoever's playing in defence can kind of get there first. So I think hopefully we'll kind of see that, because in the league, I don't think we played that badly against Spurs. I think we played okay, but I just think we weren't clinical. And then when it came to the other end, they were clinical because they had 3 shots and 2 goals, whereas we had more shots than that and we didn't score. So, yeah, I think hopefully I'm praying that, we play Fernandinho, we play the way we did play, but we're just more clinical. Because I don't think, obviously they set up defensively and to counter-attack us, and it kind of worked. And I think that Spurs game is almost why we lost the derby, because I think it was before the derby, wasn't it? And I think Pep thought, we're not having that again. And then he kind of was very defensive-minded in that derby day, whereas I think if we do beat Spurs, if we're clinical and we beat Spurs, I think we go into that derby more how we went there in the Cup.
Yeah.
I think that's how we approached the derby, but I think Pep was a little bit like, it could happen again. And because we've not been clinical this season, like even now, we've not been as clinical as we should be. I think the Chelsea game and I think the Newcastle game, they were the most clinical for us in terms of how many we scored from how many shots. But yeah, I think we'll have to see how we set up. But I think it's Ryan's a hater. He says, I hope Tottenham win it, to be honest. They deserve a trophy for how good they've been over the years. You know what? I don't agree. I think that their fans act like they've already won trophies. You know, I've had Spurs fans try and banter me a lot of the time. You know, I think, no, I don't think they deserve a trophy at all. I think they have a good chance of winning it with Jose. Jose is a winner. But yeah, I don't think, you know, no one said that we deserved a trophy when we were following City around and they were awful. Yeah. You know, I had to wait till I was 20 years old to watch City lift a trophy. Like, no one was feeling sorry for me. I never heard anyone say, I think City deserve a trophy because you're fans. Like, I used to get people say to me, like, oh my gosh, you're a City fan. Like, you must be loyal. You know, before we got money, like, people were like, you know, respect to you for supporting City over United when you grew up in Manchester. Like, I've always had that kind of comment, but I never got, you deserve a trophy. Like, that never happened. So, yeah, they don't deserve one. How do you think? How do you feel, Rose?
I don't think they deserve a trophy. I mean, get me wrong, they've had a good side and they've had opportunities to win like a trophy, like that Leicester season. They had an opportunity to win the Premier League and they blew it. So, yeah, I don't think they deserve anything, really.
Do you know what? That's what I mean. Like, they had a chance that season to win that league. I was dreading it because all season I was like, Spurs are going to win it. Yeah. Spurs are going to win it. And I was like, anyone but Spurs. Like, obviously not United, but United were in contention at that time anyway. So I was like, anyone but, because obviously I didn't really want Leicester to come and win it because I thought if Leicester come and win it, it's kind of like, this is how easy it is to win a Prem. Like, you know, because we'd won a Prem and I thought it was a massive achievement for us. And then they kind of came in and were like, well, we can win it too. So I was a bit like, didn't really want them to win it. But obviously, out of them or Spurs, it had to be, you know. And I thought Leicester deserved it. They beat us home and away. It wasn't a narrow defeat either. They came to the Etihad and Mahrez and Vardy, you know, bossed the game. And I thought that they deserved it. And, you know, it was one of them seasons where I just thought it was going to be Spurs. And I was like hoping. Thankfully, they didn't win it. They had another chance in the Champions League final. I think they got their way there, personally. And they went there and they didn't even turn up. That was not... I know Liverpool weren't great either. But I just think, you know, if it was the kind of Liverpool that we've seen, like in the Premier League last year, where they're blowing teams away and... You know, obviously, I think Liverpool actually played a lot better in that Barcelona game where they knocked out Barcelona than they actually did in the final. I think the final was it's a very boring game of football. And I don't think Liverpool were at their best. So that was Spurs' number one chance to go out there and win a trophy. And they didn't do it. So I don't feel sorry for them. You know, if they'd have if it was the opposite way around, say we knocked them out with some dodgy decision, you know what I mean? And then we went on to win it. Then I think they could say, fair enough, you know, it should have been us in that final. But yeah, I don't feel sorry for them because when they've had that opportunity to go out there and get a trophy, they haven't done it. I do think under Jose, they'll definitely win a trophy this season. Hopefully it's not the Carabao Cup. Hopefully it's something like the Europa League that we're not in. But I think they will definitely win something this season, definitely. But I don't think they necessarily deserve a trophy. Conrad says, McTominay overrated. When I saw Darren Fletcher as coaching staff, he will start every game. #free Danny. I think it's just managers' preference, isn't it? Like, managers have a preference. They have a player that is undroppable. And, you know, for us, it has been Mahrez for a while. Like, Mahrez, no matter how bad he would play, he would start. I think Pep's number ones are John Stones. He loves John Stones. And Sterling. Yeah. Sterling is his guy. Like, Sterling cannot get dropped. Yeah. Like, he would start. Like, Mahrez, fair play, does get dropped sometimes. But Sterling, yeah, he's number one on the team sheet. Just like, it's crazy. But they do always have their favourites. You always get managers. And then if Ole leaves and you get a new manager, they'll probably favour someone else, and then you'll see that player start all the time. It always happens. For you, it's Matt Fred. That's your midfield that he prefers. I don't understand why he signed Donny if he isn't going to play him, because I think he's one of United's better players. You know, I didn't want to see him against City because he's so creative. So yeah, I don't really understand that myself. Oh, okay. Pep apparently lost his first game at Bayern to Klopp. I think that must have been a cup when he joined. It must have been a cup final or something. Conrad's hating. He says, Jan, where was the ginger Mark Albrighton and Bruno on Wednesday? Bruno's got a new nickname that some, I think it might have been an Arsenal fan. Was it an Arsenal fan? Some fan anyway came up with. They called him the Portuguese Jason Punchin. So that's what we're going with, considering you want to call De Bruyne the Ginger Albrighton. So yeah, we're running with that. Henry Two Lives says, Son always has a belter against us. Hopefully Ruben Diaz can shut him down. He's been amazing so far. I don't know what it is about Son. I think we should actually sign him.
Same.
He doesn't score against us, because I'm tired of seeing that guy. Like, I hope, like, I know you don't like to wish injury on anyone, but yeah, I hope he gets injured before that City game, because I am not looking to see Son. I'm not a fan of Son versus City, because, you know, he's crazy. S. Featley, big up to him. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, guys, because he's actually trying to raise money, I think, for children's liver cancer, I think it is. So make sure you subscribe to his channel and check out his stuff. He's an Arsenal fan, for anyone that knows. He says, as a gunner, beat Spurs for us. Rest in peace, Colin Bell. I'm doing my Arsenal watch along at 5 p.m. for the Newcastle game. City are favourites, in my opinion, for the league, especially Liverpool, if Liverpool don't buy a centre-back. I think it's interesting because I think at the start of the season, Liverpool were favourites. You know, everyone was saying they're the best team in the country. I know when City won our first title under Pep, they were saying he needs to go back-to-back. The best managers go back-to-back. And we were under a lot of pressure the following season to win it back-to-back. I don't think the rules should change for Liverpool. I know they've got injuries, but that happens in football. That's why City spends so much money to make sure we have a backup. Because, like, it's interesting because the same people that moan about Liverpool's injuries are the same people that slag off how much Pep spends on City. And it's like the reason why we spend so much money as a club is to make sure that if we get 1 or 2 injuries, we can still compete for all trophies at the top level. And I think, you know, you can't kind of criticise both. You can't complain about injuries and then say, but City spend loads of money. Because it's like, if you spent the money that City spend, maybe you wouldn't need to complain about injuries. And that's just the way I see it. But yeah, I think Liverpool should be favourites still, because I think they're going to come out the other end of this kind of bad run of form. And I think they have been getting results. Like, obviously, recently they've dropped quite a few points. But before that, they were playing badly and winning. So I think that's kind of what you expect from champions. And I think Liverpool will get better as the season goes on. So I still think, you know, I think City are up there. I do think we should be winning it, really. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I think they still have to put Liverpool up there as well. Hopefully Liverpool don't come into any sort of form anytime soon. You know, it works out better for us, but we'll have to see. Yeah, and hopefully we beat Spurs for you. Ryan says Stones just gives me Lovren vibes, to be honest. To be fair, he does rate Lovren, so that's not a diss. Ryan says, Jan, do you want to be the vice president for the João Cancelo fan club that I'm starting? Yeah. Let's run with that. Conrad is talking to Ryan. He says, I'm worried about Thiago versus McTominay. Yeah, that's not going to be a good one for McTominay. Even though, to be fair, he does all right in the bigger games. One Rovers Flag says, big up to you both. Hope you're well. Keep smashing that content. Can we just admire that Stones and Diaz partnership? Yes, we can. We love that. Ryan said he's worried about Reece Williams against Cavani and Martial. Yeah, I think defensively that is not going to be easy for Liverpool, that game, especially with the players Man United have. One Rovers vlog says, hopefully win a few more trophies this season for Colin Bell. Yeah, that would be really nice. It'd be nice if we could win a European trophy for him, you know, but it's City, so I'm not going to bank on it. He says, also, Gundo, hopefully he can continue his form in the last 5-6 games. Has been class, completely transformed. Yeah, I think the quality for me has always been there, but I just think he just didn't quite we didn't see the best of him, I think. When that, maybe because David Silva was there, David Silva's so good. I don't know, but we just hadn't seen the best of him. I am Malik says, what has happened to Bernardo Silva this season and the last? I think we kind of discussed this before. We've kind of said, well, I've said in particular that I think he was really good in that season where De Bruyne was injured and we needed him. He really stepped up to the plate and he was our player of the season.
Yeah.
I think the past couple of seasons, because he's not been playing week in, week out, I just think the consistency hasn't been there. He's still a quality player. I think part of the reason why we did so well against Chelsea was due to him being in the squad. You know, he really did help because you could see the difference between that performance and the performance against Man United. Even though we kind of dominated both performances in a way, the Chelsea one was much better. So I don't know if he was that missing thing in the United kind of in the United game. What do you think with Bernardo?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying, Jan. I just feel like it's just the fact that he hasn't been like consistently playing. So probably what's been affecting him. But I feel like if he can get like a run of games, I think we'll just see the old Bernardo Silva that we all know is like really good. So yeah.
Yeah. S Feetly TV says, for me, being born with liver disease, yeah, it is liver disease. Best as in George Best, may have had more ability than Bell, but as a man role model, Bell is well beyond Best. That's true. 2 transplants wasted, which could have saved 4 kids if you could split the liver. I didn't know that, you know.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Oh, so I didn't know you could split the liver to save 4 kids. That's I just never thought. I just thought that I suppose as a kid though, if you need a transplant, you know, I just thought you had to wait for another kid to kind of pass away and then they do the transplants. You know, if they die from something that's not affecting their liver, I thought you could just do it there, but I didn't know you could split one adult one. So yeah, Best wasn't the best role model, to be fair. Like he was a bit of a rebel off the pitch. Obviously he died quite young as well. So yeah, I think Colin Bell was always that cool, calm and collected kind of man. And you know, I think a lot of people respected him off the pitch as well as on the pitch, you know, and I think people do tend to like them humble kind of players. I personally do. You know, I like your David Silvas, your De Bruynes, where they're kind of respectful. They do their job on the pitch. Off the pitch, they're just, you know, calm. I know, like, you sort of Balotelli's, Mendy, Kyle Walker, they seem to be on that same sort of vibe. And, you know, they get a lot of stick. And I think sometimes it's just because, you know, some players, especially in our squad, like your Fernandinhos, I've never heard a news story about Fernandinho that's not football related. I've never heard anything outside of football. Same with De Bruyne. I've never seen a story about De Bruyne. Vincent Kompany, unless he was helping the poor, like Marcus Rashford sort of thing, I haven't heard any sort of negative stories. And I think overall, especially as your captain, you want them sort of players kind of lead the line. You know, you don't want your captain in the newspaper for scandals and stuff like that. I think that's why a lot of United fans were arguing about Maguire and saying that the captaincy should have been taken from him, because you want that kind of, you don't want your captain in the newspaper because then you're kind of under pressure to drop them. And obviously the one player in your squad that you don't want to be dropping is your captain. So, yeah, I think that Conrad says, Jan and Rose, I had a COVID test the other day. I tested negative. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I don't like them tests. Have you been tested?
No, I've not. Have you had one?
Yeah, you have to like dig it, you know. It's like, it's horrible. But mine came back negative. But I think I actually had it at the time. I still isolated for 2 weeks, but I think I had it. Flawless, big up to Flawless, says big up to the 2 queens, big up to yourself. They're talking about Man United. Ryan says Guardiola is proving the doubters wrong, the most disrespected manager in the world. I have to agree with that. I do. Oh, one sec. Comments have gone. I think with Pep, it's interesting because when Pep first was linked with the Premier League, a lot of Man United fans thought he was coming to Man United. And all I heard was Pep is the best manager in the world. The best manager. He beat Fergie twice. Like, we need to get him in. And to be fair, I was saying this to Flawless yesterday. He was saying that Man United really need someone to come in for kind of to win them trophies and almost like short-term success. Because he said the way their club are run, they're not really run so much for long-term success. And he was saying that you need someone that can come in and win them trophies. And I was just thinking, like, Pep is actually perfect for Man United. Obviously, I'm so glad that that's never going to happen. But he's actually what they need. You know, he needs someone to come in, get the best out of the players, win trophies. And Pep would do both of them things. But yeah, I think the minute he joined Man City, he was always going to be disrespected, let's be honest. You know what I mean? If Messi joins Man City, he's going to be the second best player in the world. We know this. It always happens. So, you know, Pep, I don't think has anything to prove anyway. I think Pep's already proven what he's capable of. I think he's such a class manager. He's come in. He's done what only 2 other managers have done by winning the league back-to-back. He's broken every record pretty much apart from 1 or 2 that the Premier League has. One of them is the defensive record, which it looks like he wouldn't break this season, even if he wins it, because obviously we've already conceded a few. Maybe next season, if we won the league next season, I think with a partnership with Diaz in it, that could potentially be there. But I just think Premier League clubs in general, the smaller clubs always tend to score, even if you win. So it'll be hard to beat that Chelsea record defensively. But yeah, and I don't think that Arsenal invincible record is going anywhere anytime soon. But I think the rest of the records, Pep's pretty much beat most of them. I think Liverpool obviously had the shortest title win or the fastest title win on paper in terms of how many games they won it with. But I think he's pretty much broken the rest of the records and stuff like that. So, you know, I can't. The only thing against him will be if he doesn't win the Champions League. But even then, he's still the best for me.
Best.
So, Flawless says Stone's undroppable. Yeah, you're 100% right. Ron Rover says definitely. I'm assuming he's talking about Pep or Stones, maybe. Ryan says fair play to Villa, but any midfield without Henderson and fraud Ronaldo would have ended the game in the first 10 minutes. The Villa kids weren't anything special. I think they just defended well. Like, they weren't doing much going forward. Obviously, they scored that goal, but you know, it was all played in their half. And I just think, I think they did well to keep Liverpool at bay. Obviously, once they scored, the floodgates were open and, you know, it ended. But, yeah, I think they did all right. Conrad said, should City spend in January? What do you think?
I think if we were to spend, it would be on a striker. But with the kind of striker that I think City will be going for, I don't see us getting them in January, mainly because of the Champions League. They're probably in the Champions League right now, so I just don't really see them getting them now. But I don't and make a few signings maybe in the summer transfer window. January, I don't think so. What do you think?
I think City have said that they've got their mind on someone. I'm hoping it's Haaland, but I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
So I think they'll try and sign them in the summer. I don't think January transfer windows are kind of for if you get an unexpected injury to a player and you bring someone in. I know we did discuss earlier before Giroud was doing so well at Chelsea, saying that he could be an option and we could maybe bring him in temporarily. I wouldn't mind bringing someone like Dzeko back temporarily while we're kind of struggling a little bit going forward. But I can't see it. I think we'll wait till the summer. We'll get a big signing like a Haaland. It might not even be Haaland. I know what Pep's like. He kind of sees what we don't see. So he might bring someone in that we haven't heard of or that's not necessarily a big name. And it could be sort of another Aguero signing in that they come in and they just hit the ground running and they're brilliant. But yeah, I'd like to think it's Haaland. It would be lovely if Messi comes. Flawless says hopefully Messi comes in to join Aguero and he's laughing.
That'd be nice.
Well, you know, that they've always said they want to play together. And Messi always said to Sergio that Sergio would have to come to Barcelona to join him. So, because he didn't think he was ever going to leave. But if he does leave, it does make sense for him to come to City, to be honest. But whether he will or not, I know they've both been linked with PSG, with Poch. That would be a shame because I think City would have an opportunity to kind of get the best player in the world playing alongside Aguero. I think them two are going to link up great. I know they're not the best for Argentina in terms of, you know, the results that they get for Argentina. But I think in a City squad with your De Bruyne's, you know, I'd love to see that. I don't think it'll happen, but I'd love to see it. Manny, big up to Manny. That's my babes right there. Says, yes, ladies. And he's put fire. Ads, big up to Ads. Says, big up Jan and Rose. Make sure you go and subscribe to GNA TV, which is what Ads runs with Gem. Ryan says, if Messi joins City next season, we might as well not play this season. Next season, just hand City the trophy at the beginning. Do you know what? You never know. Can he do it against Stoke on a Thursday night? We'll find out. Yeah. Comrade says, what about Mahrez if Messi joins City? To be honest, if Messi's coming, it is what it is. Bye, Mahrez. Thanks for your contribution. Yeah. He's talking about the UCL. Manny says Fernandinho didn't vass any midfield behave. Look, he kept the Portuguese Jason Puncheon quiet, and that's all we needed from him. Thank you. Oh, he says, if we do, why have we not won the Champions League with Aguero and Fernandinho? Do you know what? I think with the Champions League, this is what I've always said. I think we'll win it when we least expect it. I really do think we will. And I think us having the squad that we had, we should have won it already. You know, with your Vincent Kompanies, your David Silvas, your Yaya Torres, these sorts of players, you would expect that we would have won it, and we haven't. So I think, unfortunately, I feel like we'll win it when our sort of legends of the past, like years have kind of moved on. I think that's what I'm saying. I'd love Aguero to win it, but I just think we'll win it when he leaves. I think we will. And I think we'll win it when we don't have the squad that we had back then where it was kind of expected. I think we'll win it when it's maybe people don't really rate us that season or we're not doing too good in the Prem. I think we'll just kind of win it. I know apart from the odd season like Liverpool in 17-18, was it 18-19? 17-18, I think it was, when they won the Champions League. I think it's one of them where I just think we'll win it when we're least expect it. I don't think we'll win it when we're flying high. I just can't see it. So unfortunately, I don't know if Aguero's going to be there. But it's one of them things. You can never predict it for me. It's one of them things you just got to go in. Bayern was so strong last season. I didn't see past Bayern. I think even the season that Liverpool won it, though, I think if they play a different team in that final, it could have gone a different way if they played the same way. But Tottenham weren't really there. They didn't really turn up too much. So.
And I completely agree. I feel like it was probably going to be in a season where we're not doing too well in the Premier League. I think remember the Chelsea when Chelsea won the Champions League. I thought that in the Premier League they weren't playing well at all. I think they're in the Premier League, and I feel like it's going to take maybe a bit of luck as well. You need a bit of luck.
You do.
So I feel like it will be one of them seasons where people aren't rating City, and we just somehow get a bit of luck in the Champions League. So I completely agree.
Yeah, like you say, it all depends on your fixtures as well. I know we've got Mönchengladbach, who actually look really good. They beat Bayern last night when they were 2-0 down. So it's going to be tough. I don't think there's any easy team in the Champions League. I don't buy into that. If you're coming out of the group stage, unless you have some ridiculous group, I think you still must have enough quality to get through the group stage. And I think once you do that, there's no reason why you should be disregarded. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, there's teams that are easier fixtures on paper than others. But yeah, I think we'll have to see. Obviously, it depends who we get. I do think it's almost like with City, the bigger the team, the better they are. It's weird, but that's just how it seems to be. Like, even the last time we played last season, we played Madrid, knocked them out. Okay, Madrid aren't quite what they were, but they're still a quality side. We beat them, and then we come up against Lyon, who are arguably an easier fixture on paper, and we can't beat them. So I just think we'll have to see who we get. Obviously, I don't know who's going to be in the final. Probably Bayern Munich again. But I do think we could beat them. I think we're capable of beating them, and it would just depend. Unfortunately, I feel like experience is a big thing in the Champions League, and our squad right now don't have experience of winning the Champions League. And I think that's why someone like Messi coming in is so key, because he's been there, done that. And I know recently he's not been doing that well, but he's been there, done that, and won it. So it'd be nice to get someone like that in. Ad says, like I said, Fernandinho is a beast and the backbone of your midfield. If Fred is playing this well, I hope he becomes our Fernandinho. Yeah, well, like I've said to Ads before, like, we were in for Fred and we wanted Fred as our Fernandinho replacement. And then obviously he went to Man United. But Kamasola says, sometimes to achieve the next level, you need a new generation. I honestly do think it will come when that generation's gone. I do. I don't think we'll win it this season. I hope so, but I don't think we will. And Manny, Ryan says, Fred is the guy. What a baller. I like Fred. I do rate Fred. Manny says, all this Fernandinho talk, yawn. Jan defo has a soft spot for him. You need to watch City more. Trust me, Fernandinho is the key. Ryan says, Fernandinho is one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League era. Ad says, Fred and Fernandinho, two of the best, yet most underrated midfielders in the league. I agree with that. Fred has always said that he looks up to Fernandinho. When he was at Shakhtar, he looked up to him, and then obviously he took his place, and then ultimately ended up in Manchester as well. So yeah, they're both quality. Manny says Fernandinho isn't underrated, but Fred is. I don't think he is underrated. I don't think he is rated as much as he should be, because Fernandinho, people talk about City. Fernandinho is not one of the first names that gets brought up. It's always, David Silva, Aguero, which rightly so. but you don't really hear too much about Fernandinho. Obviously, when you point it out, like I know I did a ranking with the Football Terrace, and I said he was a baller, and people actually said, like, yeah, he's a baller, I agree. And they didn't argue with him. They didn't move him up or down. But I don't know. I just think, you know, he's just, usually he wouldn't kind of get that rating. I think as he's got older, he's got his ratings a bit more. And I think people kind of have noticed him more, but he was underrated for a long time when he first came. Kamasola says it takes a winner mentality to win a final. Spurs don't have it, City do. I agree with that. I think that, you know, I think that's where we might edge it in the final. But I also think that's the issue we're going to have in a Champions League final as well. Because even though we have a winning mentality and we've got a manager that's been there, done that, I think our players haven't been to a Champions League final. And I don't know if... I know City handle pressure quite well. We've shown that we can in the league. We've shown that we can in cups. Community Shield against Liverpool. Like, there's quite a few games where we've stepped up when we've needed to. So I do hope that if we get to a Champions League final, we can keep that composure and go in there and win it. But I just think experience sometimes comes into these things, and we don't have that experience in the Champions League yet. My dad always says most people get to a final and lose before they win it. So hopefully we don't do that. Hopefully we go and win it first time, but it will be difficult. Ryan says we played better. He's a Liverpool fan. In the Real Madrid final, we lost, than in the Tottenham final that we won. I agree with that. Don't think you played very well against Spurs. Flawless says you lot get these likes up too. Yeah, if you're in here right now, like the video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Jay Broad says, if City win both games in hand, do you see them as genuine title contenders? What do you think, Rose?
Yeah, I do. I think we've got who've we got? We've got Brighton, and who've we got after Brighton?
We've got Crystal Palace at home. Okay. Then we've got Villa at home, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Then we've got Burnley away. The next 6 games for us are winnable.
Yeah. And our 2 games are Villa and Everton, who I feel like, Everton are a bit of a bookie side for us, but I expect us to go there. If we put in a performance how we did against United and Chelsea, I do expect us to go and win that as well. But yeah, the next few fixtures are looking winnable for us, and with the way that we're playing, I do expect us to get a number of points. Are we genuine? We are. You can't say City's not a title contender, but we just have to keep up with the way that we're playing, because obviously we've seen how we can play in certain matches. I mean, we've seen us against West Brom and Leeds, and obviously maybe because they're smaller teams, we're not as up for it as we are against the likes of Chelsea and United. But if we can keep the performances the same as how we've been in the last 2 matches, I feel like, I think we are genuine title contender.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think this next 6 games for me will show where we are in the title race. I think if we are going to win a title, you have to go out and win these games. I don't think you can kind of drop points to so many teams. I know other teams are dropping points as well. But yeah, I think if we want to win the league, we'll know within the next couple of games. I think our hardest games are at home, Villa and Crystal Palace. They're at our place, so I'd expect us to be winning at home. I know Villa have been really good this season. Our record against Villa is quite good. The same way that our record against Everton is not so good. So yeah, I would expect us to pick up. I did say that I didn't think we'd beat both Chelsea and Everton. So I was expecting at least 2 points. I was expecting us to at least draw both. We've already got 3 points from the Chelsea game. So I think Everton will be the trickiest fixture in that kind of list, which it's not yet anyway. But yeah, I think Villa and Crystal Palace are not an easy side. They're very good away. So I think Crystal Palace will struggle with that one. But I do expect us to show the fight that we need to win the Premier League, which is to win them games that are not the easiest. So we'll see. This season's been a bit dodgy. Like, everyone seems to be capable of beating everyone. So I'm a little bit worried in terms of these games that on paper look easy. This season's proven to be anything but easy against the smaller sides. So we'll see what happens. But I think if we genuinely want to win the title, we have to go out and prove we can win it. And I think these next 6 games, if we do win them, or if we win most of them, I think it puts us in a great position for the title going forward. Comasola says, Spurs won't win anything. They won't win the Europa League. Let's hope not, innit? I just think with Jose, I think with Jose, he's a winner, isn't he? And he's proven he can do it. So, Conrad, we're talking about the favourite players. Pep's son is Sterling. Arteta's son is Bellerin. Lampard's son is Mount. And Ollie's son is McTominay. That's what I'm saying. You always get managers' favourites, and it always happens. Broads TV says, if City win the 2 games in hand, are the genuine title contenders, considering their underachievement at the beginning of the season? Like we said, I think so. Yeah, I think the start of the season, De Bruyne has actually come out recently and said that they weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for the season. So when it started, the results were a bit dodgy. Obviously, we didn't have Ruben Diaz in yet, so our defence was a little bit all over the place. And yeah, we got quite a few. The start of the season wasn't great for City. Obviously, the first game we won 3-1 against Wolves, and then we just kind of went downhill from there. We still only lost 2 games all season. I think it kind of goes under the radar because we're not at the top of the league. We've actually lost less than everyone else, but because we've had quite a few draws, points-wise, it's pulled us back a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. Camasola says Liverpool will batter United. Don't know about that. That'll be a close game. I think I don't know what will happen with that. I'm hoping for a draw, obviously, but we'll see. Ryan says he doesn't rate Lovren and he's just better than the fraud Gomez. He hates Gomez. Conrad says 16 likes. Everyone keep hitting the like button. Let us know how many likes we're on right now, because I think this was a while ago. TD Shift says, what's with the Cancelo left back? What happened to Mendy and the other guy, Arsenal fan? Mendy was injured. He's back now. I think Cancelo, because he can play both, he's been playing as left back when Kyle Walker's been in the squad. But obviously with Kyle Walker out with COVID, he's now back in his rightful position of right back. And I think he's better there. I think if Walker comes back into the squad, I don't think he should be accommodated in right back. I feel like he should move over and let Cancelo do what he's best at. Because it's not really fair to move him when he's so good. Oh my God, the comments keep going. So annoying. 1 second. Okay. So he says, S. Featley says about the liver, you can do this with the liver as it can regrow, repair itself and resize to fit your body. I never knew that. This is educational. Yeah, make sure you follow him, guys. He's got good content on there. Broad says, is this how Man City fans think? I thought you all knew you were respected. I feel like people just say things about City to kind of, so if we don't win, they can say, see, you should have won it. I feel like Champions League in particular were always favourites. And I feel like it's one of them things where we're not, how can we be favourites for the Champions League when we've never been to a final? Like, I just think, for me, at the start of the season, yes, we have the squad. So in terms of that, it's favourable. But I just think, I personally just think that with, with City, it's I just think they say it so that when we don't achieve it, they can say, see, you underachieved. Do you know what I mean? Like, no other team kind of are expected to win everything. Like, Liverpool, it's like they won the Premier League. So this season, they're favourites for the Premier League. They're not favourites for every trophy. You know, whereas City, it's like, well, you should be winning the league, you should be winning the Champions League, you should be winning this, you should be winning that. And it's just like, I just think they kind of, I don't think it's from a genuine, they respect Man City. I just think it's because they just say, oh, well, you should be winning it with your squad or whatever. So, I don't know. Harris says, you lot should take Maguire off us. I promise you he's good. I'm not lying. No, we're good. We'll stick with Diaz. Ryan says, I think City could still do with a left back. I actually think that I really rate Mendy, but it's just a shame that he's kind of so in and out. That injury's knocked him for 6, that ACL. And I just think, I don't know. I'd like to see that he could come back in. He's still young. Come back into our squad and kill it. I'd love to see that. But I'm not so sure. I think what's going on off the pitch as well, I don't know whether City will sell him. Obviously, Zinchenko is not a left back. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think we could buy another left back. I don't think he wants to spend any more money on our defence. So I think it's going to be, maybe there's a youth player that could come up eventually and play there. I don't know. But I think we should keep Mendy for now. Broad says Dzeko is a G. I love Dzeko. You know, when he played for City, like, he used to frustrate me. Like, I used to really get frustrated with Dzeko. And, like, he used to really annoy me. And, like, but sometimes, like, he was so late into the box that he was on time. So he used to score all the time. Like, he took so long to get there, he used to score. Like, it's crazy. But since he's left, like, I think, you know, when they say you don't know what you've got till it's gone? I really feel like for Dzeko, because I didn't really give him enough respect when he was a City player. And then when he left, like, I love his love for the club. You know, he still, you know, watches City. And he'll say things like we, you know, like when he's talking about City. I love that. I do love that. Ishmael says, much love from Ethiopia. Big up to you. Arsenal fan, but love the content. Big up to you for tuning in from all the way over there. Laporte Brad says, we don't have room for more players, therefore someone needs to go before someone new comes in. I agree. I don't think we'll get a left back unless Mendy goes. And probably even Zinchenko.
Yeah.
Ryan says, I'd take Mahrez if you're selling him over the fraud Salah. He doesn't like Salah. It's so funny. Conrad says, Ryan, I think Salah will leave Liverpool. Apparently he is going to leave, but you never know. Abdi's hating. He says you will never win a Champions League. They said we'd never win the Premier League as well, so it is what it is. And then they're talking about Salah. Saeed says Haaland needs to come in the summer. I'd love to see Haaland. I feel like I was saying the other day that I think with him, if he comes in, it's almost like, say for example, we got a notification that he was coming in and he signed for City, and then Aguero left. Even though I'll still be gutted that Aguero left, I feel like I wouldn't be half as gutted as if Aguero goes and anyone else comes in, because I just think you'd swap in a very clinical striker for a very clinical striker. And I think it's kind of like for like, but Haaland is a lot younger. Obviously, he's got history with the club and stuff like that. So I think for me, he's the only person that could come in that I'd be like, okay, you know, if Aguero wants to leave, he can. Even though I'm not ready for Aguero to leave yet. So I'm hoping and praying that he signs a contract. Conrad says, get Maya on the channel. She's a Spurs fan and she speaks fact. Yeah, we will get Maya on one day. I've been on her show. So she's more than welcome to come over if she wants. Conrad says, Jan, I want Burnley relegated. Their football's boring. I don't think anyone respects Burnley. They just kind of come in and just do what they do. Obviously, I don't mind Burnley because, you know, our record against Burnley is not too bad. So, yeah, I prefer them than other teams that we've struggled against historically. So we'll see who goes down. I think, again, like it's so close at the top, it's kind of close at the bottom as well. I think, obviously, Sheffield will probably go down. I think it's a little bit late for them to start picking up points now, but you never know. We'll see what happens. Harris says, I still have City favourites to win the title. At the start of the season, I said I think City will win it, and I still feel that way. But we'll see. Conrad says 22 likes. Big up to you. Try and get it to 30 before we go. Liam Delap over Haaland. Yeah, I don't think so. Ryan says, I proper rate Dzeko.
Yes.
And then he says, Haaland's finishing and shot power is scary. I know, I'd love to see him. Abdullah says, I don't want Haaland just because Haaland's agent is Raiola and he's made United a circus. You know what? We have had players of his before. We'll see in terms of whether he comes or not. I know it's going to be difficult, but ultimately the player makes the decision. You know what I mean? The agent can only do so much. Raheem Sterling apparently has sacked his agent. And obviously we've got, what's it called? We've got like, I think De Bruyne might have sacked his agent or something like that. So I think there's a few players that are kind of saying, no, we're going to cut out the agent. Haaland, I know his dad has a big say in where he goes. So it's not just his agent. His dad is also heavily involved. And obviously, his dad has a special connection with Man City and Leeds, actually. Apparently, Haaland has said in the past that the dream would be to win the Premier League at Leeds. Obviously, he won't go to Leeds right now. But yeah, I could see him coming back to England. He's actually English. He's born in England. So he technically is a British citizen. So we'll see. I'd like to really see him come. Ryan here says, Haaland won't go to United. Roy Keane ended his dad's career and he's a Leeds fan, I think. Yeah, I think he kind of says he supports City and Leeds. Well, he doesn't say he's a City fan, but he's been at City games wearing a City hat and scarf, so can't really say that he's not a City fan as well. But he used to wear City shirts when he was a kid. I suppose when your dad plays for a team, you know, you tend to support them. I know Wayne Rooney's kids support Man United because obviously when they were kids, you know, he was Man United, and then obviously Rooney himself is an Everton fan because he grew up an Everton fan. So I think it kind of, you tend to support who your dad plays for when you're a small child, and then you just pick a club from there. He says, I can see Haaland being the long-term replacement for Lewandowski at Bayern. I can also see that, to be honest. And with him being at Dortmund, I can see him joining Bayern. I hope not. I'd like to see him in the Prem. Harris says, Haaland again coming... Haaland ain't coming to England. He's scared of getting hurt. He's still affected by what happened to his dad. I don't know about that. We'll have to see. Just Gem says, statues. Who gets one if we only put up 3? Rose go first, Jan second. I think he means that are the current sort of legends that we've got.
Statues. Aguero. I mean, that goal, that 3-2 Aguero, number 1. And now it's between Company and Silva. It's just, I don't know.
Silva's getting one, isn't he? And yeah, Silva's definitely getting one because they've said, or is it Company? It's Company. One of them two is definitely getting one.
So yeah, obviously Aguero first, and obviously Silva and Company. Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with that. I think them 3, and I think arguably if De Bruyne continues the way he's been going, I think he joins the statue. And I think it becomes like, you know, like Man United have the 3 outside.
Yeah.
I think it becomes like a 4-man statue. But they have said that Silva's going to get one. So I don't know if Silva's going to be on his own.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have the other 3. I don't know. But obviously, it has to be, if it's in a statue, I think it'll be people that have played together, and all of them have played together at one point. So, yeah, I think that's who will be. That's who will be the statues, and then obviously, depending on how things go with De Bruyne, he could join them. If he goes and wins us the Champions League, then I think he'll be added. Someone said Yaya Toure. I don't think Yaya Toure will get one. Not because he wasn't key for us, but I just think because his relationship with the club hasn't been the best. I know with Joe Hart and Yaya Toure, they have got a tribute at City. They've got one of the training grounds is named after them. So they have been given something. Company also has a training ground named after him. And I think he'll probably get a statue as well, which he should. Broad says Pep signed for 2 extra years now. Suggests to me Messi is en route. Yeah, I don't think Pep was ever done at City. I think even if Messi doesn't come, I think he wants to kind of prove that he can kind of rebuild us a little bit. He's already started. You know, people have always said, can he rebuild at a club? I think he's proven so far that he can. You know, the players that he's bringing in, the young players that he's bringing in are really good. So, you know, I think he can do it, and I think he will stay a little bit. I'd like to see him a lot longer. I'd like him to sign a contract after that and stay even longer, but you don't know. With Pep, he just kind of likes to not get too stressed, and kind of when he thinks he's had enough, he'll leave. So we'll see. Ryan says Liverpool should sell Salah and Mane and get Mbappe and Haaland. Yeah, that will be a massive upgrade, but I can't see it. I don't think Mane is going anywhere anytime soon. He also says Aguero, Silva and company should get statues 100%. I agree with that. Abdallah says Joe Hart deserves one. 10 years he served. I think, again, I'm not sure. I don't think he would get one. We don't even have one of... we don't have... Yeah, he won't get one. He's not been our best ever goalkeeper, so I just can't see it. I really can't. Pep statue?
Maybe.
He definitely wouldn't get one yet. I think maybe if he wins us the Champions League and he stays a long time, like Fergie, then I can see it. But yeah, he won't get one for winning the Premier League a few times. Like, even if he went back to back to back, he still wouldn't get one. He'd have to do something unreal, like win us the European Cup. But yeah, we don't have statues for any of our old players, you know, that have won us the European Cup Winners' Cup. You know, people are saying Colin Bell should get one. I suppose they could do one for that generation. Maybe they will, but I don't really know. Statues are difficult because they don't always give people statues. Like, it's quite difficult to get one. You really have to be a very, very special player to get one. I'm not the biggest fan of Joe Hart, I have to say. People used to slate me, saying, "You're not a City fan." I've been blocked by so many City fans because I used to go in on Joe Hart because he's like the golden boy. But I just didn't. There's just something about him. I didn't like. It's like when I was a kid. I never used to like Richard Dunn. And everyone used to love him, and I just didn't like. There was just something about him that I just didn't like. And like everyone used to like, how are you a City fan and you don't rate Richard Dunn? And I just used to like, I don't know, something about him. Like with me, it's one of them things where it's like you almost have to. You almost can't say anything bad about the golden people. Do you know what I mean? And like for me, like the players that I like, there's usually a reason for one. Okay. A reason for why I like them and stuff like that. And sometimes it's not like your traditional players that everyone else loves. Do you know what I mean? Like Fernandinho is my favourite. Before that, it was Company, but it was Company when he wasn't the Company that we knew at the end. Like it was when he wasn't the beast that he is now. It was like in the early days at City, he was my favourite player. Yeah. So, you know, it's easy to say, oh, De Bruyne, David Silva, Aguero, like as your favourite player, but mine, it's never normally them. Like when I was younger, like I used to love Gelson Fernandez, and he was just not a good player, but I liked him, you know. I've just always been like that. Ryan says Joe Hart is one of the most overrated keepers in history. Fraud. You know what? He won the Golden Boot, the Golden Glove 4 times. He was a decent player for us overall. He did frustrate me like no other. That's why I wasn't a massive fan of him, just because he used to frustrate the life out of me, and he used to screech, and I used to sit near him, and oh, mate. But don't get me wrong, he had some performance, especially in the Champions League. Like, he used to turn up for us like none other. So I can't fault him as a City player. I just wasn't the biggest fan of him personally. I think he always gets beat. Is it to his left side? Like, he doesn't make many saves if you kind of put it to his left. And I didn't like that other players kind of knew how to beat him before it even kicked off. And I didn't like that. I thought he was a bit too predictable. But a quality keeper all round. I can't fault him for that. Just Jem says, what about Fernandinho? I would absolutely love Fernandinho to get a statue, but I just don't think he will. Ryan says, Balotelli doesn't need a statue. He was a statue on the pitch for us whenever he played. Look, he's a City player. I don't know why he went to Liverpool.
Yeah.
People are saying Yaya. Ryan says, Yaya Toure deserves one, best midfielder in Prem history. Do you know what? I agree with you. Yaya Toure could be in with a shout, but the only reason why he won't get one is because of sort of the way he left City. It's a shame because he won us 2 trophies single-handedly. Like Aguero won us the league, he won us the FA Cup twice, or he scored in 2 goals. I think he won it twice for us. I'm sure there was two finals, but I know he scored in the semi-final and the final. So Yaya Toure has single-handedly won us trophies as well, but I just don't think he'll get one. Unless you had unless you had like 5 or 6 players getting a statue, which they won't do. It's kind of like Arsenal. Arsenal have Bergkamp and they have Henry. They don't have everyone in that squad. There was more than that. I don't think they have a Vieira one. So it's kind of like they'll probably do 2 players or 3 players max. So I think that's why, like Arsenal, they gave Henry one. I think we'll give Aguero one. It surely has to be that celebration with the shirt. That's the only one that I can think, because that is iconic in our history. And I think they'll probably give it to David Silva, which I think they've said. And then you might get a company one, but I think it's not gonna be like 5 players. That's too many. Okay, so Just Jem says, besides the Aguero moment, what is the best City goal you've seen? Yaya versus Sunderland for me. What's your favourite? What's the best City goal that you've seen?
It definitely is the Aguero goal for me. But I think we scored so many amazing goals.
I know.
So hard. Okay, I'm gonna. I've seen a lot, but the one that I can think of off the top of my head, probably goal, but it was Jesus's goal. When he scored and got the 100 points. I screamed. I can't believe we got 100 points that season. So off the top of my head, I'm going to say the Jesus one because of just what it meant to us. I mean, so yeah. What about you?
Oh God, that is a hard one. Do you know what? I'd say in terms of, I don't know. I think there's so many. Like there's ones where we passed the ball like 50 something times before scoring. It's been an excellent team goal, which is probably the best goal in terms of how it was scored.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had some proper quality. I think for me, the Yaya Toure goal in the Man United semi-final stands out as a goal that it was kind of like, you know, it was a brilliant goal. And I think that's sort of when City kind of came onto the scene properly, officially came onto the scene, because before that, you know, City weren't really rated. It was, yeah, they spent money, but they need to win a trophy. And I think that goal really kind of, people, United fans say it, in like turned Manchester blue in terms of United started to get worried because City were coming. But it's not the best goal. It's just, that's a goal that I'll always remember.
Yeah.
You know, Fernandinho against Chelsea, I think, scored a fantastic goal once. I remember because I love Fernandinho.
Yeah.
But we've so many. I think that is a really hard question.
Even I think Company scored one against Leicester, didn't he?
Oh, that one, yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. That is the goal. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic goal by our captain. Same with the header against Man United in the derby, where he scored that header. Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, sorry, it's got to be. Didn't even come into my head.
Yeah,
but my memory is really bad, by the way. So like, I've been going to City for years, but if you ask me who scored the first goal that I saw, I can't tell you. If you say who scored against Chelsea 2 years ago, I can't tell you. My memory is like a sieve, so it is what it is. Abdallah says Pep deserves a statue. Would have served 7 years at the club, responsible for Centaurians' formidable domestic treble. Yeah, I just don't think he'll get one, unfortunately. I'd love to see him stay longer and get one. Abdallah says Joe Hart was a leader. That's true. He was always screaming at everyone. Broad says Bala was a cult hero, man. He was too funny. I loved Balotelli. I really did love Balotelli. Ryan's opposite. He said that he's never hated a player at Liverpool more than Balotelli. It's because he was a City agent, man. He went there to make sure you didn't win the league. And it worked. Oh, sorry, one sec. I was supposed to put my camera on. Ryan says Jan will be hugging the Fernandinho statue before every game. I definitely would. Yeah. That would be me. That would be my profile picture, like me and Fernandinho. I remember I went to Arsenal once and I took a picture in front of the Henry statue. And oh my God. So I was bent down, like under his head, and I stood up and whacked my head off the statue. Oh my God, that hurt. So yeah, I'm staying away from statues right now because that was painful. Like, Broad TV says, Arsenal have Chapman, Adams, Bergkamp and Omri. So yeah, like I say, clubs don't tend to have a lot of players. Like, if you think about Man United, look at how many players Man United have had that you could argue should have a statue, and they don't. They have, like, I think Fergie's getting one. And then they've got obviously Dennis Law and Matt Busby, I think it is. And I don't even know who the other player is, to be fair, outside the stadium. So you don't tend to have a lot of players. Like, we can argue a lot of cases recently for City of who should get a statue, but it just won't happen. Abdallah agrees with what you said. Company goal against Leicester City, easy. Yep, I agree with that. Okay, Harris is asking us, what's your favourite United player ever if you had to pick? No Ronaldo allowed. I hated Ronaldo at Man United. I don't hate him as a person, but I hated him at Man United. I don't particularly like any United player.
Yeah.
But right now, you know, you've got to respect Marcus Rashford for what he's doing off the pitch. But I still wouldn't say... If I had to pick one player from Man United to come to City, it'd probably be Fred. But it doesn't mean that I really like him. It just means that that's who I would pick. I don't know. It's is there anyone you like? Any United player you like?
I like Rashford, obviously, because I'd probably say maybe Mata. I don't know if he's still at United, but I really liked him because I felt like he was a bit like David Silva. They had and I really loved David Silva. So yeah, he matter as well. But I don't really like United like that.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one. You know what? No, I hated David Beckham when I was a kid. I hated him. Like, honestly, when I was a kid, I used to hate Man United. Like, Fergie. I've always hated Fergie with a passion. Like, I do not like Fergie. You know what I mean? Like, I am not a fan obviously you have to respect what he did in the Premier League. He's been the best Premier League manager ever. Can't deny that. But yeah, I don't like him. I don't like. He used to live around the corner to me actually, and I think one time my mum was driving down the road. She went, "Oh, I just seen Fergie cross the road." I was like, "Wow, I would have put him under my car." Said that it was a mistake. No, I'm joking, by the way. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Fergie at all. It's mad. Like David Beckham, when I was a kid, everyone used to love him, and like they used to go shopping at specific times so they could see him. And like we used to go shopping at specific times so we didn't see him. Like, just don't like him at all. Do you lot even? I know. First of all, Harris says, "Did you rate Berbatov?" I think City were for Berbatov, weren't we, at the time when they got him, and we ended up getting Aguero instead. And no, Robinho. It was Robinho, wasn't it? We got Robinho instead.
Oh yeah.
But I loved Robinho. I loved him. So yeah, I wouldn't have swapped Robinho for Berbatov. But he was a good player for Man United. Harris says, "Do you lot even care about the FA Cup?" I care about every trophy. I think you have to go for every trophy. Obviously, the more you win, the better. But yeah, there's no trophy. I'm not one of these people that's like, I don't care about the Community Shield. I don't care about the League Cup. You know, like at the end of the day, a trophy is a trophy. If you can win every trophy in a season, you're going to do something that no one else has ever done before. So yeah, I think every trophy is important. And I'm not one of them people that's like, oh yeah, well, I don't care about the League Cup. If we'd have gone out this week to Man United, I wouldn't have been saying I don't care about the League Cup, because yes, we don't need to win it. We've won it the last 3 years in a row. We don't have to win it. I would still like to win it. And now that we're so close that we're in the final, I think we should be winning it, really. I'd be gutted if we didn't turn up in the final. I can tell you that. Broad says Fergie has one. I think he has got one. And he's got the road named after him, hasn't he? Maguire, Jones, and McTominay should get a statue. No cap. They probably will when they lead you lot to relegation. Ryan says the Aguero goal was also my favourite City goal. I just think that goal is so iconic. Like, you know, there's certain goals in Premier League history that you just never forget. And I think regardless of whether you support City or not, you're never going to forget that. Just Jem says, do you think that Demichelis' goal was robbed of the Fuco one? Do you know what? I love Demichelis. He was so funny. What was the quality goal for City as well? Remember when Balotelli shouldered it into the net?
Yeah.
That was a good goal. That was crazy at the time because no one thought... It's only him that could have done that, really. Ad said, I would love a midfield of Fernandinho, Fred and Bruno. Be interested to see that. Broad says, he used to hate Man United but respect to them. You have to respect Man United for what they've done. But like in terms of them as a club, if you look at the history and the history between City and United, City don't need to respect United. I think we've helped Man United out how many times and we've got nothing in return. You know, and they're very disrespectful towards City, considering what we've done for them in the past. And that's why, for me, I will never like Man United. There's nothing they can do. You know, I think they're a little bit more classy nowadays in terms of their respect to our legends and stuff like that. But over the years, Man United are not deserving of any real respect, especially from City. Bias aside, Harris says, is Scholes the best midfielder in Prem history? I don't like this argument because, you know, I agree that Scholes was one of the best. Do I think he's the best? No, probably not.
Lampard was good. I thought Gerrard was good. Hard to pick. It's really hard.
It is hard. There's a lot of people up there with him. My favourite wouldn't be Scholes, but obviously I'm not a United fan, so it's hard. But yeah, he people that support, out of the three of them, there's always going to be a debate. This is why it's interesting, because when it comes to like De Bruyne, people are bringing up stats to say Bruno's better, but if you look at stats, Lampard is better than Scholes and Gerrard, but that's not a fact. That's just based on stats. Obviously, I think Scholes was better than Lampard, but statistically he wasn't. But yeah, you have to rate Scholes, because he even came back in 2013 and won United the title. So, you know, he came out of retirement and did it. So yeah, you have to respect him. I don't know if he's the best ever in history, but it does say Premier League. So yeah, maybe in the Premier League, maybe. Ryan says Berbatov was an absolute baller. He was. Ryan says, I only care about the FA Cup because it's the only trophy I've not really seen us win properly. I was only 6 when we won it last. You know, it's interesting because even Man United went a long time without winning the FA Cup. They went something like 12 years and then Rooney won it for them. So it's one of them that even City, like, we've been in the final probably 3 or 4 times. No, 3 times, I think. Since we started winning again, we've won it twice, and obviously we lost it to Wigan. So, yeah, I think Ryan says there are some United fans that I couldn't help but be a fan of, like Van Persie and Berbatov and Pogba. I don't mind Pogba. Berbatov, wasn't really a fan of him. Van Persie, I think it was a little bit. City fans in general are a little bit gutted because before that 2013 season, we were saying whoever gets him will win the league. And obviously he didn't come to City. But you still have to respect him. He single-handedly won them that title. Like, obviously Fergie as well. But yeah. Just Jem said, would you take Haaland if we sold De Bruyne to Madrid? We should not be selling De Bruyne. City don't sell our best players. So I can't see that happening. But I would love Haaland. Harris says Van Persie was elite. He was. People just love to hate on Pogba, bun them. I think the problem with Pogba is that you have is because even half of Man United's fan base are sort of up against him. I think it's very difficult to get other fans to rate him when your own fan base don't rate him. You know, if we had half of our fan base saying Bruno's better than De Bruyne, people would say, how are you saying De Bruyne is better when half of your fan base think Bruno's better? And I think that's the problem that you're going to have with Pogba. I do actually rate Pogba. But I just think because of that, that's why you get it. Manny says, in recent times, I'll say Yaya is the best in the last 10 years. But overall, I'd have to say Scholes. He could do everything. De Bruyne in that era would be a 10, false 9 like Cantona. Yeah, I think last 10 years, well, not even, Yaya left quite a while ago now. But yeah, Yaya was unreal when he came. He used to just bust midfield. Yeah. Ryan also says, as much as I hate to admit it, Scholes was better than Gerrard. I agree with that. But yeah, we're going to wrap up now because we've been on for 2 hours. But thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already liked the video, subscribe to the channel. We are 300 away from 2K. So we need you to subscribe, and we're going to have some surprises coming up for you soon. So hopefully you subscribe. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, rest in peace to Colin Bell. We pay our respects to his family and friends at this time. But yeah, see you next week.